Repeat after me. Listen. Somewhere beneath the sea of noise, we hear the angel's whispered voice. The song is there, the words are clear, and all we need is still right here. Listen, listen, listen. One more time. Listen.
And don't we love to listen to Alexa Ehrlich and Lauren James? Thank you. Glad y'all woke up. They got you off your feet. Woo! Good morning, everybody. I'm Kimberly Hawkins. I am the spiritual director here, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to Center for Spiritual Living in partnership with Unity Medford. Together we are quite powerful, and we are quite welcoming, inclusive, progressive spiritual community. If there's anyone here for the very first time, we promise we won't follow you home, but we'd love to give you a little warm welcome. Anybody here for the very first time? Yes? Yes, Beatrice, thank you. We honor each of you no matter where you may happen to be on your own personal spiritual journey. We honor all paths to the divine. I want to remind you, if you haven't already, to please turn off your cell phones or put them in airplane mode. That helps our live broadcast. I also want to welcome our viewers online on Facebook and on YouTube. I have a few people to introduce before we get going here. Reverend Stephanie Clark is our practitioner on pulpit, minister and practitioner on pulpit this morning during our invocation and reading. You've met our incredible musicians, Alexa and Lauren. Wendy Wellborn did a beautiful meditation. She's another one of our prayer practitioners, and she's sitting high watch, praying throughout the service for the highest and best receiving and unfoldment for each person here, which is a beautiful thing. So, our video crew, big thanks to you and each one in the seats. I'm going to turn it over to our musicians at this point. Let's take a deep breath together and allow the musicians to prepare us for the invocation and reading.
So for this, we're going to split the room in half. This half is going to sing with me, and this half with Lauren. So. Remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I
Good morning. Good morning. And thank you so much for that beautiful song and for allowing us to sing with you. It's lovely. Thank you. So I'm Reverend Stephanie Clark, and I'm going to be doing the opening prayer for our service today. So if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, please do that. And join me as we take a breath.
moving into that still place that has been so beautifully established for us by the wonderful musicians here this morning. Moving into that place where there are no fears, concerns, worries. There's no past and no future. There's only now. The holy presence, divine life, sacred stillness, the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniactive power, omniscient, knows all things, is everywhere. Some people call that God. I am that, and so too is each sacred soul in this sanctuary. Each one of us is another way that God presents itself. God represents itself on earth as it already is in heaven, as it already is in the realm of the infinite consciousness. So I am infinite consciousness. Everyone here is infinite consciousness expressed in human form. And we are joined together by divine agreement this morning. There are no accidents. Everyone who is here is meant to be here. Everyone who is participating on the live stream is participating at the perfect time for them. And I speak the word for our sacred gathering here this morning, knowing that everything has been divinely prepared by a higher hand. The Spirit has gone ahead to prepare the way for each one here, declaring that each one is wide open and available to the message from our beloved Reverend Kimberly, and the message from our musicians, and the message from all the volunteers and service team who are present here in this sanctuary, holding the space for magnificent transformation. We are about the Mother, Father, God's business here of remembering who we are. And so everything that occurs inside this sacred service is another reminder. It's another trigger to our ancient memory, to our spiritual memory of who we are and what we are here for, our divine purpose that we are here to fulfill. So I bless this service. I name it good. I name it uplifting, joyful, harmonious. I name it filled full with new insights and awareness. I name it a quantum leap in consciousness, a quantum leap in consciousness. Each one of us here is being transformed by the Spirit that moves between us and amongst us, and each one here is surrendered and available to that divine activity. How grateful I am for the work that is completed here this morning, for the shifts that take place in consciousness, for the love that is revealed in this sacred space, for the power that is on as us. And so I release the word now into law, and I allow it to be, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. So I'm now going to light the peace candle. So that's staying in that space of stillness. I acknowledge the peace that is the divine essence of everyone here. And I know that that peace now extends out around the universe. Right here, as we gather, knowing that peace is the truth of the divine reality, what we know here at this point in mind, at CSL Rogue Valley, is known everywhere simultaneously. There is no separation in the mind of God. So peace is known everywhere. Peace prevails upon our planet. And each one of us is now the witness to peace. From this point forth, we agree to put our attention on peace and allow that to magnify in our awareness. How grateful I am that peace is established everywhere, here and now. And I give thanks and let it be. So today I'm going to read to you from a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. give me a show of hands if you've heard of Glennon Doyle. A few of you. Okay, great. So for me, she's a wonderful, authentic voice. And this is taken from her book Untamed, which is a recent released book and a bestseller. So she writes, "I've learned to live by faith, which does not mean that I live by a set of unwavering beliefs or dogma that men laid down ages ago to keep their power by controlling others." Got some feminists out there, thank you very much. We love men too, right? Yeah. My faith has nothing to do with religion anymore. To me, living by faith is allowing the swelling and pressing inside me to direct my outward words and decisions. Because to me, God is not a being outside of me. God is the fire, the nudge, the warm, liquid, gold swelling and pressing inside me. In fact, my favorite idea of faith is a belief in the unseen order of things. Nicer, the unseen order of things. There are two orders of things. There is the seen order, unfolding in front of us every day on our streets and in the news. In this visible order, violence reigns, and children are shot in their schools, and warmongers prosper, and 1% of the world hoards half of all we have. We call this order of things reality. This is, in quotes, the way things are. It's all we can see because it's all we've ever seen, yet something inside us rejects it. We know instinctively this is not the intended order of things. This is not how things are meant to be. We know that there is a better, truer, wilder way. The better way is the unseen order inside us. It is the vision we carry in our imagination about a truer, more beautiful world, one in which all children have enough to eat, and we no longer kill each other, and mothers do not have to cross deserts with their babies on their backs. This better idea is what Jews call shalom, Buddhists call nirvana, Christians call heaven, Muslims call salam, and many agnostics call peace. It's not a place out there, not yet. It's the hopeful swelling in here, pressing through our skin, insisting that it was all meant to be much more beautiful than this. And it can be, if we refused to wait to die and, in quotes, go to heaven, and instead find heaven inside us and give birth to it here and now. If we work to make the vision of the unseen order swelling inside us visible in our lives, homes, and nations, we will make reality more beautiful, on earth as it is in heaven, in our material world as it is in our imagination. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Stephanie. I'm just going to quickly introduce this song. I've had this song in my hands for 8 years and wanting to do it so bad, but it's got to be the right place. And it's really a perfect song for Good Friday, for those who celebrate Lent and Easter. But it is, in the broad spectrum, the Christ consciousness that brings peace and is peace on earth, which is all of us. I just want to, first time hearing it, it's hard to catch all the words, but I'm just going to give you a glimpse. It's called The Trumpet Child. Will blow his horn, will blast the sky till it's reborn with Gabriel's power and Satchmo's grace. He will surprise the human race. The trumpet child the trumpet he will use to blow is being fashioned out of fire. The mouthpiece is a glowing coal, the bell a burst of wild desire. The trumpet child will riff on love, Thelonious notes from up above. He'll improvise a kingdom come accompanied by a different drum. And then the trumpet child The rich forget about their gold. The meek and mild are strangely bold. A lion lies beside a lamb and licks a murderer's outstretched hand. So here's the song, The Trumpet Child.
The trumpet child will blow his horn, will blast the sky till it's reborn. With Gabriel's power and Satchmo's grace, he will surprise the human race. The trumpet he will use to blow is being fashioned out of fire. The mouthpiece is a glowing coal, the bell a burst of wild desire. The trumpet child will riff on love, thelonious notes from up above. He'll improvise a kingdom come, accompanied by a different drum. The trumpet child will banquet here until the lost are truly found. 1,000 days, 1,000 years, nobody knows for sure how long. The rich forget about their gold, the meek and mild are strangely bold. A lion lies beside a lamb and licks a murderer's outstretched hand. The trumpet child will lift a glass, his bride now leaning in at last, his final aim to fill with joy the earth that man all but destroyed.
Wow. And what you didn't say, Lauren, is that is your original song, yes?
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
okay,
not.
okay.
Should I?
Oh, I assumed that it was because she does write music. So,
Yes.
so you have never performed it before.
No. I heard it 8 years ago
Yeah.
by a group called Over the Rhine from, which is a section inside of Cincinnati. It's a husband and wife couple, and they write incredible music like this.
Well, we are honored that you decided to share it with us, and Alexa, gorgeous job. Yes? Oh my. Woo! And you know, what's remarkable, I assume you guys rehearsed this because it was so flawless, but Rev Stephanie's reading and the peace candle, and then this vision of I'm just like, I got chills. Yep, I got chills. So, it's a rough transition right now, but I'm going to do it. I have a little story to tell you to start with. When I was a freshman in college, The university I attended apparently had a housing shortage, and so I think it was about 5 other freshman girls, instead of being placed in a big dorm, were placed in a little house on Sawyer Avenue in Medford, Massachusetts. And, you know, this situation I think would have been great for those of you who were college folks. You know, if I were a sophomore or an upperclassman, wow, a small house, and usually you would choose the people you wanted to be with as your housemates, and it had a kitchen. It was ideal, but as a freshman, it wasn't at all what served me. Rather than being in a large dorm, although noisy, I would have had the chance to meet a lot of girls, you know, and make friendships. And it was a co-ed school, but, you know, I would have a chance to make female friendships, and I didn't. And the roommate I was placed with, we were so different, and there really wasn't much connection that happened between us. And I'm not sure why. I mean, I grew up pretty privileged. My dad was paying my expensive tuition. She was a working class Italian gal who lived in the town next to us and was on scholarship and work study. And I don't know if she resented me, I just don't know. But she had this nickname for me that she used throughout the year. She called me Rat Face. Yeah. And being at that point, I was just turned 18 when I started college. I did not have it within me to ask her about that or to ask her to please not call me that name because I didn't particularly like it. I just let it slide all year. She, another little thing she did that bothered me but not deeply was she would cut out ads for Ron Rico rum and paste them on her side of the room. She didn't cut a whole page out, she'd like creatively. And I just thought, what the hey? I mean, I didn't even drink at that point. What's she putting rum ads on our wall for? But I never asked her. And when I Googled Ron Rico rum in preparation for this talk, I discovered that those ads way back when are now collector's items. They're vintage, they're considered creative. So you can check out Ron Rico rum. So I'm gonna refer to her as B. We got through the year and then really pretty much didn't have much to do with each other for the rest of the 3 years or 2.5 years that I was in school. And, you know, we weren't hostile. But my talk title this morning is Boundaries Build Bridges. Had I said, hey, B, I don't particularly like that name. What's up with that? Or had I said, gee, really, rum ads on our wall? What's that about? If I had set a boundary of what my preferences were and created some conversation, I think we would have gotten to know each other better. That's kind of interesting to me that she recognized the creativity in those ads, and I don't know if that's why she put them up, but I will never have the chance to find out. Boundaries build bridges. It's kind of interesting. We don't think of boundaries as doing that, do we? So what are boundaries? One definition comes from author Nancy Levin in her book, Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free. She defines boundaries as a limit that you set to define what you will or will not do, or what you will or will not accept or tolerate from others. It's up to us to determine or to discover what our boundaries are, and then to communicate them. So really, letting others know what our boundaries are has many benefits. One, it keeps us from being doormats, and I kind of was a doormat in some ways. Why she called me rat face. It creates a bridge, as I've mentioned, giving the other person a chance to get to know you and vice versa. It also prevents the other person from stepping on the landmines that build up when we got resentment and we're never saying anything about it, and sometimes we just explode, which I never did. I must say today, if that happened, I would never have put up with that. I would have had a conversation at the very least. Brene Brown, in our book of the month, The Gifts of Imperfection, said this. She said, when we fail to set boundaries and hold people accountable, we feel used and mistreated. This is why we sometimes attack who they are, which is far more hurtful than addressing a behavior or a choice. Yes? Yeah. And I think lack of boundaries invites a lack of respect. I think in my case, it did. Now, one of the things I think that gets in the way, anybody ever had difficulty setting a boundary with anybody? A few of us, right? I think there are several things that can get in the way. I think one of them is we want to be nice sometimes, right? We don't want to hurt people. We don't want to sound selfish. But the fact is, as many authors point out, and that I have discovered, and I'm sure many of you have as we mature, we don't have to be mean when we set a boundary. We don't have to be tactless. We don't have to attack. We can do it with compassion, with clarity and assertiveness, but with gentleness and truth, right? So it doesn't have to be a mean thing. It doesn't have to be blaming. And I really do believe that setting boundaries is absolutely a necessary part of what we're talking about this whole month. Our theme for the month of March is cultivating authenticity. If we don't let someone know our preferences or where our limits are, we're not really being authentic. Last week, I talked about the 4 Ps as 3 things that can get in the way of being authentic, and that was performing, perfecting, pleasing, and proving. You know, not wanting to rock the boat. I didn't want to rock the boat with B. I just didn't. And instead, if we can adopt the 3 Cs that I talked about last week, which comes from Brené Brown's book, the 3 Cs are courage, compassion, and connection. To have the courage to speak up, to do it with compassion. And I must say, we're talking about compassion to ourselves and our own needs and what rings well with us, and also compassion to the other person, and that creates connection. If we stay silent, we create separation. Our hearts remain separated. There's really no chance to have that coming together. So communicating boundaries is actually a compassionate act. Sometimes fear about communicating boundaries comes from our own sense of unworthiness. I don't deserve to ask for what I need or speak my truth. You know, the other person, we give the other person space, even when we feel like a doormat. And I wanted to read a short essay by Mark Nepo. Many of you know this book, The Book of Awakening. He speaks about his own struggle to be authentic, rather than to try to show each person what he thinks they want to see. And he uses the metaphor of acting like a lazy Susan. You know, I'll serve you because I think you think this is good, and I'll serve you a different aspect of myself. And sounds crazy-making to me, but I think we've all probably been there to some extent. So he starts out by saying, the God in us is not a half presence. There's no screening who we are, like we'd screen calls, screen what aspect of myself I'm going to show to the world. For years I lived this way, turning the side of me to others that they could understand, spinning the aspects of my true self like a lazy Susan, offering only what others wanted or needed or felt most comfortable with. I would add what he thought other people wanted or needed or felt most comfortable with. He may not have actually known. I became very good at this. Could spin in a crowd of loved ones, accommodating many needs at once. I came to believe that I was being selfless, an agile listener, reliable and giving. I thought I had found a way to be both who I am and considerate. What I didn't realize was that more and more of who I truly am was being hidden, and then showing only the part of me that others found acceptable was not being true to myself. The cost eventually was a subtle but ever-present spiritual suffocation. Spiritual suffocation. Because we're meant to shine our lights as we were created, right? No one asked me to do this. Certainly I had wounds in my history that conditioned me to hide myself at times. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of showing what I believe no one else could possibly understand. But how do we know if we don't show it? A lack of trust and faith that the flower inside me could survive the elements out here. All this stayed unaddressed for years while I spun my lazy Mark self. As we live it, the line between privacy and hiddenness is very thin indeed. I've learned painfully and thoroughly that each of us is an entire symphony, and though there are times when all of us will not be heard, disease begins the moment all of us is not played. So the invitation, of course, is to play all of us out loud. I'm going to invite us to go into a little brief meditation here that Mark suggests. So Lauren's going to tickle keys a bit, but let's just close eyes if you're comfortable and take a couple breaths. Just go within. And as we simply focus on the breath, breathing in anywhere where we're holding tension, I invite you to let come to your consciousness one aspect of who you are that you turn away from others, that you're not willing to show. It might be your gentleness or your silliness, your sense of doubt, self-doubt, or perhaps even your sense of dream. Just breathing in and allowing your higher self to show you what are the aspects or one aspect of yourself that you feel like hiding, pretending it doesn't exist. Continuing to breathe slowly. Ask yourself, what is it that you fear might happen if you let this part be seen? If you didn't turn the lazy Susan in the opposite direction, what would happen? What do you fear might happen? Breathe deeply and lower yourself into the center of your heart space, into the place where this precious aspect of you lives freely. Breathe freely now in the safety of this moment, in this place. As you continue to be still, try to breathe this precious part of you out into this room. Knowing you're surrounded by love, by acceptance, by compassion. And note how it feels to have such a precious part of you move through you, from your heart into the air that surrounds you. And just one more big breath. And gently open your eyes. This is something we all can continue by journaling, by talking with a trusted loved one, by seeing a practitioner or a minister and having a session, and which involves prayer as well, to really uncover any place where we feel constricted, any place where we feel we've turned that lazy Susan to hide something, an aspect of ourselves that is part of our authentic, true self. I believe that we're all called, as Mark Nepo put it, to play all of us, not just part of us, not just the part we feel are acceptable. And you know what? If we do that and some people don't like it or don't understand the boundary we put up, so be it, right? We can still be compassionate, let them be, and perhaps decide that we might not want to hang out with somebody who can't accept us in our fullness, in our allness. Our founder of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, has such a beautiful way of expressing the value of being who we truly are in a spiritual way, in a spiritual nature. He says this: dare to be yourself. Stand in wonder before the majesty and might, the beauty and power of that divine presence which seeks expression through your individual life. Those are some powerful words. He goes on to say, you rob no person when you discover your own good. You limit no person when you express a greater degree of livingness. You hinder no person's evolution when you consciously enter into the kingdom of your good and possess it today from this thing called you. So there's this idea that we don't really have to create our boundaries. They're here within us. We just have to get in touch with them. I thought this morning as I was thinking about this talk of a time when I was teaching a good touch, bad touch program, a program that taught teachers to teach children tactics to defend themselves against sexual abuse. And I taught children this too. And we taught the little ones, the preschool kids and early young kids, something called the uh-oh feeling. So do you know that feeling in your gut when you know something is wrong and you just have that uneasy feeling? We taught them that to say, when I feel like something's wrong, I'm right. And I need to tell a trusted adult about it. So I think that that's one way we can discover our boundaries. If there's some aspect of our lives, whether it's family members, coworkers, our finances, our health, where we just have that uneasy uh-oh feeling that we're not addressing something we need to address, that probably, very likely, there's some kind of a boundary that needs to be expressed or placed in place. Now, of course, the opposite of being a doormat is somebody who, out of fear, has a wall instead of a boundary. And maybe there is an aggressive part to it. And that doesn't build bridges either. I don't know about you, maybe, I don't know how many, we're on different sides of it, and maybe we're on different sides of it depending on what relationship we're addressing, right? So just wanted to acknowledge that. Boundaries can be physical, right? We all have our physical boundary we're comfortable. They can be emotional. What are we comfortable hearing from people or saying to people, sharing to people? Boundaries can be boundaries we place around our time or our treasure. What am I comfortable giving of my time or treasure to somebody? And when people cross our boundaries without our consent, it does not feel good. Communicating boundaries can be difficult if we're not used to it. It surely was difficult for me as that 18-year-old. Especially if we've been taught to consistently honor other people's feelings and needs above our own. Nothing wrong with considering other people's needs, right? But if we do that to the detriment of ignoring our own, we call that codependence. And that is not healthy. I have a Melanie Beatty, she is the queen still, I believe, of understanding codependence. Her book, Codependent No More, How to Stop Controlling Others and Start Caring for Yourself. I still recommend that to clients, and here's what she says. See if you can relate either now or in the past. Ever since people first existed, they've been doing all the things we label codependent. They've worried themselves sick about other people. They've tried to help in ways that didn't help. They've said yes when they meant no, tried to make other people see things their way, have bent over backwards, avoiding hurting people's feelings, and in so doing have hurt themselves. They've been afraid to trust their feelings, have believed lies, and then felt betrayed. They've wanted to get even and punish others. They felt so angry they wanted to kill. They've struggled for their rights while other people said they didn't have any. They have worn sackcloth because they didn't believe they deserved silk. I would posit that we all deserve silk. We and anyone with whom we have a boundary issue, we all deserve silk. And there's a way to build those bridges if we can communicate honestly about our boundaries. I love what Annie Lamott says. She says, no is a complete sentence. And yet, I know, at least for me, sometimes when I have to say no, or I feel I need to say no, it doesn't feel compassionate. And so I have a list of 9 phrases you might consider when you need to say no, and it's a definite no, but it's softened a bit. And I'll put these in the newsletter this week. I can't give you an answer right now. Will you check back with me? I want to, but I'm unable to, period. I'm not able to commit to that right now. I really appreciate your asking me, but I can't do it. I understand you really need my help, but I'm just not able to say yes to that. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say no for now. I'll let you know if something changes. I'm honored that you would ask me, but my answer is no. I just don't have that to give right now. And finally, no, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. I was taught by my sister, Reverend Kristen Hawkins, in ministry oftentimes, it's good to answer every question with a yes, but. You know, yes, I can do this, but I can't do that. So I hope those might help any of you who have a need. Setting honest, authentic boundaries, communicating them honestly and authentically leads, I believe, to connection and reconciliation rather than keeping our hearts separate. We feel bad and inwardly in judgment and resent others when we fail to do it. So I think this week my invitation to me and to everyone is to check in if we are experiencing that uh-oh feeling. Check in, are we spinning that lazy Susan in ways that are hiding a part of us that's important to show to the world? Check in if there's someone with whom we need to communicate in order to build the bridge. And if we need to practice what we're going to say, nothing wrong with that. Again, you might even practice with a practitioner, right? So I'm going to leave you, as I started with the definition of boundaries, with something you might say in this case. This is what I will do or will not do. This is what I will or will not accept. And remember that when we do that, we can do it with compassion. We can do it with love. We can do it with respect. And when we do that, we invite the same from the other person. When we're either a doormat or we react because we've been a doormat, the bridges are broken. Yes? Let's go into prayer. Once again, we acknowledge that power, that presence encompassing all of us. Lauren, if you tickle keys, that'd be great. That one life, that source of all life, that we can try to describe, yet we can't circumscribe because it is bigger than our human minds can understand. It is absolute perfect love, enduring peace, freedom, authenticity, love. It is harmony, it is knowledge, it is intelligence, and it surrounds us and lives us, breathes us, guides us. It created each of us so that it might know itself even better, and it created us individually and uniquely so that each of us could shine the different aspects of ourselves, that we are not meant to hide under a bushel, and we are not meant to put on a lazy Susan and turn the other way. We are one with our Creator. We are one with our source. And so may we continue to find ways to live our authentic lives out loud. May we find ways to shine our light in all the aspects that we were given, in all the talents, in all the preferences that are healthy and harm no one else. May we have the courage to speak up. May we have compassion mixed in when we speak up, and may those acts of courage and compassion build a bridge, build connection, remind us of the truth that we are all that light of God, and that when we shine our light, when we express our boundaries, we take nothing away from anyone else. May we all be fortified from within with the courage to do so. May we continue to open our minds and our hearts to guidance that lives right here all the time, whether it's as an uh-oh feeling or a nudge to do something. We know that we know that we know when we get still, when we connect with our hearts, when we connect with each other. We are meant to build bridges, not to be doormats, not to build walls. And so I just hold this beautiful vision of connection and honest communication for each one of us this week. And I know as we do so and practice doing so with our families, with our community, that we again send a ripple of that love and acceptance and compassion across the planet, across the world. I give thanks for these teachings. I give thanks for each one here. I give thanks for our beautiful music. I give thanks to know that this prayer, as all prayers, is heard in the mind of the divine and is already answered. And so we say together, and so it is. Amen.
Take away my doubts, they only weigh me down. Hide all my don'ts and won'ts so they can't be found. Bottle up my fear and throw it into the sea. And if by chance one day it floats back to me, I'll just laugh out loud and say here and now, I do to a love that knows no reservation. I do to a will that knows no hesitation. I do to a choice with no expectation. No, no, I used to say don't, but now I do. Take away this life I thought was safe and sound. Loosen up these ties that only keep me bound. Shred all my limitations and my beliefs. Let the confetti fall into the streets. This is my parade, my time to proclaim. I do to a love that knows no reservation. I do to a will that knows no hesitation. I do to a choice with no expectation. No, no, I used to say don't, but now I do. I do to a love that knows no reservation. I do to a will that knows no hesitation. I do to a choice with no expectation. I do to a dream that knows no limitation. I do to a force that knows no gravitation. I do to a high with no intoxication. No, no, I used to say don't, but now I do. Oh, I do.
I should say, oh girl. I say I do love the music of these two, yes? Oh, my. All right, it's time now when we circulate our abundance. And so I always like to start with a big thank you to all those. And Vivian and Patricia, come on forward, our ushers. Thank you for serving. A big thank you to all who continue to support our community with your tithes and offerings. You can write a check or put in cash. There's an envelope in the back of the seats to either Unity or CSL if you want to choose who to support this week. And I invite you to say our affirmation with me or after me. Graciously I give, from a place of love, knowing that as I give, so do I richly receive. So it is.
It's all about allowing peace within, an absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. And now the seed is sown. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it was all about allowing. All about allowing it to start.
Yes.
So a couple announcements before we wrap this up. How many of you have your Jamie Lula tickets? How many of you don't know what I'm talking about? Rev Steph's going to come up in a minute, but this man, Jamie Lula, is one of my absolute favorite New Thought musicians. He is soul-stirring, lovely human being, as well as an amazing musician. And he's going to be here live in this sanctuary at 7 p.m. this Friday night. You will not want to miss this. If you know Jamie, you understand that. If you don't know him, trust me, this is an event. If you can possibly be here, you'll want to be here. It's also a fundraiser for us. He's agreed to split the profit 50-50 with us, which is amazing. So, Stephanie, I know you have more things to add. We'll let you come up.
So if you don't trust Reverend Kimberly, please trust me. We spent some time with him this week when he came through Medford. What a love, what a love. And so I know when you want to invite friends to come to the church, sometimes it's a little awkward. There's a whole thing about we don't want to be seen as evangelical, trying to convert people, trying to help them redeem themselves from their sins. We're not that kind of church. But inviting people to church has a bit of a weirdness about it. But now you can invite someone to a concert. Isn't that cool? So the music translates the message in ways that words never can. And it's a wonderful opportunity to bring friends, people you love, share the music with them. So if you've got your ticket already, that's great. Buy another one. Bring a friend. Buy 10 and bring a family, or bring a group of friends. So there's no limits. And we do have a limit of 80 in the sanctuary. So please get them today before they sell out. And in connection with the concert, I have a group of volunteers already set up, but now we want to create a whole bags of refreshments for people. So after the concert, we want you to hang around, we want you to meet Jamie, and we want refreshments. So who will do some baking? I would like you to come up afterwards and just sign your name here if you're going to be willing to do some baking before the concert starts, and bring your baked goodies to the sanctuary in the evening before the concert. And if you have volunteered already, that's great. If you still would like to volunteer, we've always got positions, and it's going to be a fun team that we're going to work in together. So please come, get your ticket, and I'll see you on Friday.
Thank you, Rev Steph. Yeah, so what he didn't say is $25, and that's a steal. The tickets will be available in the social hall afterwards, or they're also available on our website. You just go to donate, Donate events and type in the concert, okay? $30 at the door if we still have tickets available, okay? A couple other quickie things. If you're not on our newsletter, please sign up in the social hall to receive our weekly e-newsletter. There's a prayer box in the back of the sanctuary. Please give us your requests, and our whole ecclesiastical team will pray for you or your person you're requesting prayer for all week. And I think that is probably it. So I'm going to invite our practitioners and, what?
Men's meeting tomorrow, 1 o'clock.
Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, men's meeting. Thank you, Alan. Here. In Bosworth Hall. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'm going to invite our practitioners and ministers to come up front. They are available for a quick, what we call a 5-minute miracle prayer for you after service. So please come up, engage one of them. If you want to go into my office, there's room in there. We encourage people to move into the social hall, so it's a little quiet in here. It's a little challenging with this space, but a quiet space for prayer. And join us afterwards for some refreshments. All right, musicians, take it away at a closing song.
So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there